Now, Wonderman, this is the latest Marvel TV show, but it is a Marvel TV show, as I'm sure everybody would. I'm sure that it's the kind of thing that we, all the press releases have been like Marvel TV show, but with a difference, and all that kind of stuff. Because I feel like Marvel are trying to find a way to make you pay attention to some of the stuff. Because I think, I've been complaining ever since the Multiverse Saga, ever since Endgame ended, and the Multiverse Saga started, and saying that the multiverse was stupid and what they were doing, it seemed very, very unfocused and all over the place. And they're trying to pull it back in for Avengers Doomsday, but there's still all these little strands that are out there that have been going on. So in this, what you have is you have a Marvel TV show, but for most of its running time, it's not really concerned with being a Marvel TV show. So it's not really about a guy who discovers his powers and punches a hole in a wall. That's not what most of this is about. You start off by meeting a guy called Simon Williams, and he's an actor played by Yahya Abdul-Mateen II. And he's an actor, and you can see him at the beginning, like he's like going on everything like that. But he's the kind of actor who is, their own worst enemy, because he gets a role on a TV show, and it's heavily intimated that this is American Horror Story by Ryan Murphy. And he gets a role, and it's just like one of these roles where you're supposed to turn around, say 2 or 3 lines, and then get killed. But like it's a day player, like that's like a big deal in Hollywood to have 2 or 3 lines in an episode of a TV show for an actor that hasn't quite made it. That is a big deal. And he comes in there, but he destroys it by overthinking, and he sits down there, and for these 2 lines, he holds up the whole production because he's trying to get it to, right? And in the end, he keeps making it bigger and bigger, and in the end, they just cut him out of the show. And you start finding out about his life, and you find out about the fact that he's a struggling actor. His family, his family is Haitian. His mom is really, really supportive. He has an older brother who isn't that supportive of him, and you find out that his dad is dead, but his dad had this thing about this character called Wonderman, this film called Wonderman, which is one of the first films he saw when he got to America from Haiti. And they found that there's a chance to be in Wonderman, and he goes for that. Or he goes for the what's it called? He goes for the audition to play a superhero, but the thing about it is that he actually has superpowers that he can't quite control. And in this world, it's this is mostly a Hollywood satire. It's essentially just him and, do you remember Trevor Slattery from Iron Man 3? Yeah. So Trevor Slattery is essentially the second lead in this. So it's essentially Simon Williams and Trevor Slattery walking around LA talking about being actors and talking about what that all means and everything. And there's one episode that goes weird, because in this world there is a clause that says that if you have superpowers, you cannot work in movies. But Simon Williams has superpowers, but all he's ever wanted to do is be an actor, so he has to hide his superpowers. And meanwhile, there's this group called the Department of Damage Control, who are like, we're sure he has superpowers, and we want to get him and lock him up because so they send Trevor Slattery in to go and find out about his superpowers and get evidence for them so that they can lock Simon Williams up. And so you have all these different things going on in this show. And it isn't, and I will say you don't really have to have watched any other Marvel thing to watch this show. It kind of stands out on its own. It's its own little weird thing.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. It's its own little weird thing about about the process of making superhero movies.
Does he play as Slattery, do his alter ego at any point? Like the man. Oh, are we not going to say?
To say that, Sean, would be a massive spoiler.
Oh, okay.
But the fact that I'm not saying anything might tell you something in itself.
Yeah.
But let me put it this way: people keep recognizing Trevor Slattery. They're like, "Oh my God, you're the Mandarin! Oh man, you'll never see me coming."
Yeah, because there's that little extra bit, isn't there? There's that little extra. It's like a little short on
YouTube Hail
where
to
he's
the
like
king.
in the prison, and they go,
"Hail to the king." Yeah.
They're like, ooh.
So they in this world, people realize that they recognize him as that, and wherever he goes, people sort of like keep recognizing him as the Mandarin and keeps quoting the Mandarin to him. And Ben Kingsley is obviously having a time of his life playing this character, and he's having the time of his life, like just talking, because he keeps going off and saying, "Oh yeah, I remember when I was in a party with Helen Mirren and everything." Like, "Oh, you never know this about her," and it just keeps telling all these stories, and it's great. And I think the double act, this show rises and falls on the double act between Simon Williams and Trevor Slattery, and I think it's a good double act. The problem I had with this was that I found Simon Williams really, really annoying. I found him really annoying because I mean, one of my friends who watched it and liked the show, he described him as intense. I'm like, yeah. Intense is one word. I would use the word annoying. He's the kind of person that whenever something happens, he gets in his own way. He overthinks everything. He makes a big deal about stuff. He never meets a problem that he's not prepared to blow up and make way bigger than it should be, and it's a hard ask for me to hang a show on somebody like that. I think it's not as much of a problem for some other people, because some other people I've spoken to, they were like, oh no, he's just intense and everything, he's just trying to do the best he can. I'm like, no, he's annoying, and if I met him in real life, I feel like he was just constantly in my way. So all in all, I would give Wonderman a 3 out of 5. I think it's quite good. I was really worried for a while that it was going to do the thing that I hate in TV shows, where you get to the end of the season and all it's doing is telling you to come back for a next season, and not actually giving a conclusion of any sort. But I think they give a bit of a conclusion in this one. But because it's the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I would not be surprised if you ended up seeing in Avengers Doomsday Simon Williams, Trevor Slattery, and weirdly enough, Josh Gad. That will make sense when you watch episode 4. I would not be surprised if they come back, if you see them in Avengers Doomsday. But all in all, that's a 3 out of 5 stars for Wonder Man from me.